Welcome to Faith Distilled. So, just imagine for a second, you're miraculously healed from some kind of unthinkable torment. Your very first instinct would probably be to just leave everything behind and follow your rescuer, right? But what if he told you to do the exact opposite? To go back home? Well, today we're exploring a really powerful Christmas sermon from Charles Spurgeon that hinges on this very command from Jesus. And it's a command that challenges us to see our own homes as the most important place to share our story. We're going to walk through this sermon pretty much exactly as Spurgeon delivered it. We'll start with the dramatic healing that sets the whole stage, then we'll unpack that surprising command Jesus gives, and then really explore the what, why, and how of sharing our own transformation. All right, let's dive in. So Spurgeon kicks things off with a pretty harrowing story from the Gospels. It's about a man who's in the most extreme state you can possibly imagine. He was possessed by what they called a legion of demons and just driven completely beyond the brink of madness. And look, this wasn't just some sickness. He was a complete outcast, literally living among the tombs. He was the terror of the whole region, so uncontrollably violent that no chains could hold him. He'd just shatter them. Spurgeon describes him as actually being worse than a wild beast, because his torment was all internal. He was totally isolated, a misery to himself, spending his days and nights just howling his agony up in the mountains. And right into this state of just utter hopelessness, Jesus arrives. And there's no complex ritual, no big theological debate. He just speaks with this absolute quiet authority. And just like that, the man is healed instantly. He's rational, he's intelligent, he's spiritually alive, and his first impulse, which is born of just overwhelming gratitude, is to follow Jesus absolutely anywhere. But Christ gives him a very different and very specific mission. So instead of letting the man join his traveling disciples, saying, come on, join the crew, Jesus points him in a totally different direction. And this one command becomes the central pillar of Spurgeon's entire sermon. From this single verse, Spurgeon makes this really powerful argument. True religion doesn't break your family bonds, it makes them stronger. He contrasts Christ's command with this kind of false piety or superstition, which so often demands isolation from the world. The crucial point here is that genuine faith, it's not meant for a monastery. It's meant for the dining room table. It's not about becoming a hermit, but about becoming a better husband, a better wife, a better son or daughter. Faith is meant to add a divine spark to our most natural human loves. Okay, so if the command is to go home and tell, what exactly are we supposed to say? Spurgeon gives us 4 really clear qualities that define an authentic testimony, and he's focusing on the content of our story. And listen, the focus here is absolutely critical. This isn't about preaching some abstract doctrine. It's all about sharing what you have personally felt and experienced. It's a story not about your achievements, but about what the Lord has done for you. A story that's just overflowing with gratitude and told with the deep humility of someone who knows they didn't deserve any of it. Then Spurgeon kind of anticipates our natural hesitation. Because let's be honest, isn't it sometimes easiest to talk to anyone except our own family? So he gives 3 powerful motivations to help us overcome that fear and actually go home with our story. First, we do it out of love for the master who saved us. Simple as that. Second, to bring this incredible joy to the family members who've been praying for us. And finally, for the salvation of those who don't yet believe. To show just how powerful this personal appeal is, Spurgeon tells this story about an elder who visited a local blacksmith, a known skeptic. He didn't go to argue, but simply to share his heart. And this just perfectly illustrates Spurgeon's point. The blacksmith could argue theology all day long, but he couldn't refute genuine, heartfelt concern. See, a personal story can get through a kind of hardness that 1,000 abstract debates never will. All right, so we know what to say and why we should say it, but how should we say it? Spurgeon offers 4 really practical keys for the delivery to make sure our message is actually received. First, speak truthfully from your own experience. Don't exaggerate. Second, speak humbly, as a son or a friend, not as some great preacher. Third, speak earnestly so they can see that this really, truly matters to you. And maybe most importantly, speak devoutly. As Spurgeon puts it, you should talk to God about your family long before you talk to your family about God. And this is where Spurgeon concludes, with this beautiful and powerful shift in perspective. He suggests that this simple command from Jesus, go home, it has a final, ultimate meaning for every single believer.
He reminds us that one day the Master is going to say to each of us, "Go home." And he'll be talking about our eternal home in heaven. And what will be our very first task when we get there?
Think about that. The very same story we're commanded to tell here on earth, that becomes the endless song of heaven. The short testimony of our lives here will become an eternal volume there as we spend forever just recounting God's grace and compassion. So Spurgeon's message then is really beautifully simple. Your story of grace is the greatest inheritance you can possibly offer. It's the practice run for an eternal anthem. So the question he kind of leaves us with is, are we practicing? For more distilled wisdom like this, be sure to subscribe.